John chapter 18. Tauta epon Iesus exulten syntois matertais autu peran tu kemaru tu kerdu. And this, having said these things, Yeshua went out together with his disciples beyond the torrent of Kidron. Hopu ön Köpos, where there was a garden, is honeselten autos kai hoimatertai autu, into which he entered, he and his disciples. Öidede kai Judas ho paradidu sauton ton topon. Now Yehuda, the one betraying him, had known the place. Hoti pollakis synöktö Jesus eke metaton materton autu. That oftentimes Yeshua had gathered there with his disciples. Houn Yehudas labon tön speran kaiekton arkireon kaiekton parisaion hyperreta serketai eke meta panon kai lampadon kai hoplon. Yehuda, therefore, having taken the cohort and some from the archpriests, the high priests, and from the parishim, servants, officers, hyperetas, servants, he is coming there with torches and lanterns and torches and weapons. See, there's that word, he is coming. That is a durative, and so I'm going to make a note to myself. Of the durative there, to translate it better into English with the word coming. Iesuas un eidos pantata erkometa epauton exulten kai lege autois tina zertete. Yeshua therefore having seen all those coming upon him, he went out, and he is saying to them, whom are ye seeking? There are duratives here as well. I'll make a note to myself to improve that later. Apekrita sanauto Iesus ton nazoraion. Lege autois Iesus egoemi hesterkede kai Iudas hoparadidu sauton metauton. Okay, Yeshua of Nazareth, they answer him. Yeshua is saying to them, I am he. I am the one. And also Yehuda had stood, the one betraying him. Yehuda had stood with them. He was standing there. Okay, so we got at least one durative in there. Hoson epenautois. As therefore he said to them, Egoemi, I am that one. apeltoneesta opiso, kai epesan kamai. They went backwards into the back, and they fell to the ground. Palinun autu seperotersen. Again, therefore, to them he asked, Dina teete, hoide epon, Yeshun, don Nazorayon. Again, therefore, he asked, For whom are ye seeking? But they said, Yeshua, the the Nazareth, the one of Nazareth. Again, another durative is there. Abeklita Yeshus. Yeshua answered, Epon humin hoti egoemi. I said to you that I am the one. Eun emedzertete. Apete tutus hypagen. If therefore ye are seeking me, leave off these to be going. At least two duratives are there. Hinaplerotai hologos honepen. That might be fulfilled the word which he spoke. Hoti hustedo kasmoi. Ukapolesa exauton udena. That of those whom thou hast given me, I did not lose from them anyone or nobody. I didn't lose nobody. A double negative in Greek works for emphasis rather than to negate the negative. Simon un Petros ekon makairan helkysen autön kai epäisen ton tu arkiareos tuulon kai anekopsen autu to otarion to dexion önde onoma toi tuloi malkos. Okay, Shimon, therefore, Petros, possessing a sword, drew it and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off of him the ear, the right ear. And the name of the servant was Malchus. Epenun ho Jesus toi Petroi. Paletön makairanistön tökön. Topoterion hodedo kenmoi hopater ume pio auto. Yeshua therefore said to Petro, throw the sword into the sheath. The cup which the Father hath given to me, shall I certainly not drink it? Her un spera kai ho kiliarkos kai hoi hyperetai ton iudaion synelabon ton Jesus kai edersan auton. The cohort therefore and the the chief captain and the servants of the Yehudim seized Yeshua and bound him. Kai ergagon prosannan proton, and they brought him first to Anna. Öngar penteros tu Caiapha, for he was father-in-law of Caiapha. Hosern archiereos tu eniau tu ekenu, who was high priest of that year. Önde Caiaphan hosymbuleusas tois Yehudaios hoti sympere hena anthropon apotsanen hyper tu lau. And Caiapha was the one counseling to the Yehudim, to the Jews, that it brought together, that is, it was profitable, it is being profitable so that a man should die on behalf of the people. This is a thing found in the Gospel of John, that he realizes or points out that this was in line with God's truth, and was therefore a prophecy, because he was a high priest at the time. Caiaphas, although he wanted to kill Yeshua, was actually prophesying. He was actually prophesying that Yeshua would die for the people. Where's that? Okay. Got some notes here. Where is it? Caiaphas. High priest. Hmm. Okay. Caiaphas prophesying that Yeshua would die for the people. It's a thing in John only. It's only recorded in John. It was important to John then. He thought it was important to point out to us. And he mentions it not just once, but there's another spot he mentions it. Back to the readings. Sorry for the delay. Ökolutede doi Yeshua Simon Petros kai allos matertes. But Shimon Petros was following Yeshua, and also another disciple. Hode matertes ekenos gnostos toi archiare. And that disciple was being known to the high priest. Kai syne sölten toi Yeshua este naulen tu archiareos. And he together went with Yeshua into the court of the high priest. John points out that the beloved disciple was known to the high priest and therefore had access to the court. Okay. And that's a thing that's unique in John. And one of the ways in which Peter did not surpass the beloved disciple was that um, the beloved disciple was known to the high priest. And here he is the way through which Peter gains access to the court of the high priest, as we're about to see. So the beloved disciple, writing probably decades after Petros had died, is pointing out that it never was really all about Petro. He wasn't the best or anything like that. So that those who are standing in his place and claiming to be successors of Petros, who are not eyewitnesses, they were not eyewitnesses of Yeshua. They were simply those who took over the church after Petro died, perhaps in Rome. These people do not surpass the living witness of John in Asia Minor. Even Petros did not surpass that disciple in every way. John is arguing, it seems, as Petros did not surpass the beloved disciple, even whilst Yeshua was alive, and even whilst Petro was alive, so most certainly his successors are not surpassing the beloved disciple now. So I believe he's saying to the believers, look, you should be paying attention to the witness that remains, the apostle that remains, not getting carried away in this religion which honors Peter, rather than listening to what the apostle, the living witness, says about Yeshua. In fact, he was still receiving revelations from Yeshua. He received the revelation, the final book of the Bible. Okay. Hode Petros heste ke prostoi turai exo. But Petros was stood to the door outside. Exulten un homatetos hoallos hognostos tu archiareos kai epen tei turoroi kai ese gagen ton Petron. Right. And Petros had stood to the door outside. Therefore, the other disciple went out, the one known to the high priest, and he said to the doorkeeping one, also he brought in Petron. Lege un toi Petroi, her paidiske, her turoros. Therefore, she says, that one says to the Petros, the maid, the girl, the doorkeeper says to Petros, "Me kaisu ekton materton tu anthropu tu. Is it not that thou art of his disciples?" This man's disciples. Lege akenos. That one says, Ukemi, I am not. So Petros is denying that he is a disciple of Yeshua. I'm noting there's a durative to fix up in the translation there, to improve. Improve. Nothing we do seems perfect, but we can be improving towards perfection. And that's what I will for this translation. And that's what I will for my reading. My reading is not perfect. I'm making mistakes, but I'm trying. Hester kesan, te hoi dulloi, kai hoi hyperetai. Antrakian pe poie kotes. But they were having stood. The servants and the bond servants and officers, they were having stood, having effectuated a fire or hot coals. Hoti psu kosern, for it was cold. Kai etermainonto ern de kai ho Petros metauton hestos kai termainomenos. But therefore also, and they were warming themselves. And also Petros was with them, standing and warming himself. Ho'unar kiereos erotesen, ton Jesus periton materton autu, kai perites didakers autu. The high priest, therefore, asked Yeshua concerning his disciples and concerning his teaching. Apekrite autoi Jesus. Yeshua answered to him, Ego parasia lelaleka toi kosmoi. I openly have spoken to the world. Ego pantote edidaxa en synagogue. I was always I was always it was always I taught in synagogue, kai entoi hieroi, and in the temple, hopu pantes hoi Yehudaioi, synerkontai, where all the Yehudim were gathering together, kai en kryptoi elale uden, and in secret, I was saying nothing. Hmm. Time erotais. Why are ye asking me? Eroteson, τους ακερκοώτας, τι ελάλεσα autois. Ask thou the ones having heard what I said to them. Ide, hutoi oidasin haepen ego. Behold, these have known what I said, what I myself said. Tauta de autu pontos, hes parestekos ton hypereton nedoken rapisma toi Jesus pon. Hutos apokrinei toi archiere. But of him saying these things, one of the servants, having stood, gave a slap or a smiting to Yeshua, having said, Thus thou art answering to the high priest? Abekrite autoi Jesus. Yeshua answered him, E kako se lalesa. Is it that badly? I said. Maratureson peritu kaku. Testify thou concerning the bad. E de kalos. But if well, dime teres. Why art thou beating me? Apestele nun auton Hoannas dedemenon. Hohannas dedemenon proskaia panton archiarea. Therefore, Annas sent him, having been bound, to Caiaphas the high priest. Önde Simon Petros, Hestos kai termainomenos, epon unautoi, mö kai sy ekton matseton autu örnösato ekenos kai epen, ukemi. But Shimon Petros was, having stood and warming himself. Therefore they said to him, Not also thou, out of his disciples thou art being? That one denied and said, I am not. Lege he sekton doullon tu archiareos. One is saying, one of the servants, bond servants of the high priest is saying, Syngenes on hu apekopsen Petros ton. Sorry, Syngenes on hu anekopsen Petros to otion. A relative being of the one Petros chopped off the ear, ukegose edon entoi poi metautu. Is it not I saw thee in the garden with him? Palinun ernösato Petros, kai euteos alector eponösen. Therefore again Petros denied, and immediately a rooster sounded, gave his voice. Agusinun ton Jesus apotu kaia pa esto praetorion. They were leading, therefore, Yeshua from Caiaphas into the praetorion. Önde proi, and it was very early. Kai autoi ukesel ton eston praetorion. And they did not enter into the praetorion, hina myrmiantosin alla pagosin to Pascha, so that they might not be defiled, but might eat the Passover, the Pascha. Right. Now, that's a feature of John. John points out, makes it very clear that the day that Yeshua was crucified, the Jews were keeping the Passover. They were going to eat the Passover on that day, on that, well, that night. They were sacrificing um, they were sacrificing the lambs at the same time that Yeshua was on the cross. That Yeshua was crucified on the day of the Passover sacrifice is something highlighted by John. The Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they don't highlight this, but rather they highlight that Yeshua had already celebrated the Passover the night before. And so um, we have what some might think is a contradiction, because Yeshua celebrated the Passover the night before, but the Jews celebrated it the day that he was crucified, or that night after he was crucified. But it need not be interpreted as a contradiction, and it may be written this way for a reason. That is, the synoptics may have not pointed out that he was that the Jews celebrated at the time that he celebrated, and John may not have pointed out that he celebrated at the time that the Jews celebrated it, because they did not want to be controversial in pointing out that his time of celebrating it was different to what the Jews were doing in that particular year, in that particular month. But the result is that he did celebrate it the day before. He must have had it sacrificed. He told them, actually, in the synoptics, to kill it that day before he was arrested. And he did celebrate it that day, and they did celebrate it the day after, according to the Gospel of John. There's no contradiction, because in that time, the month is set by the moon, and that requires interpretation of when the month began, according to what the moon seems to be saying. And it's quite possible that Yeshua's interpretation was correct, and that the high priest's interpretation was not correct in that particular month, in that particular year, and that they differed by a day. So there is no need to come up with wild ideas that that the time to celebrate Passover is like after the sunset on the 13th day. That's a wild idea. It's contradictory to Scripture. Scripture says that you are to kill the Passover lamb on the 14th day as the sun is coming down. If the sun is coming down, the 14th day has not ended, and you are at the end of the 14th day. You are close to the end of the 14th day. So you cannot say that this is at the beginning of the 14th day. That is a nonsense. That is a nonsense that's been invented by certain Christian groups and carried on. The Church of God Seventh Day had this nonsense idea. The Seventh Day Adventist inherited it from there, and so have the Armstrong churches, the Worldwide Church of God, and its derivatives have inherited this nonsense idea from the Church of God Seventh Day. The Passover time is in the afternoon. It is not after sunset. That's a nonsense. So anyway, back to this. John 18:29, and I'm reading it in the Greek. Exulten un hopelatos exo prosautus kai persin. Therefore, the pilot Pilatos went outside to them and is saying, Tina kategorian perette tu anthropu tu. What accusation are ye bringing of this man? I see some duratives to improve the translation of later on. So I'm making note to myself. Abekrita san kai epen epanautoi. They answered and said to him, Eme ön huutos kakon poion. Ukaan soi paredokamen auton. If it were not, if this man were not doing evil, we would not have handed him to you, handed him to thee. Yeah, well, that's not what he asked him, is it? It's interesting how when people are doing something dodgy, they don't quite answer the question that you're asking. Epenunautois hopelatos. Therefore, Hopelat answered them, Labete auton humes kai kataton nomon humon grinate. Take ye him yourselves, and according to your law judge ye him. Eponunautoi hoi iudaioi. Hermin u kexestin apoktenai udena. Therefore they said to him, the Yehudim said to him, for us it is not right, not lawful to put anyone to death. Are they lying, or is it that they're saying the Romans had forbidden them from killing people and they wanted Yeshua killed? Hina hologos tu Jesus pleurotöj, honepen sermainon boioi, tanatoi ömellen, apotsnöisken. So that the word of Yeshua might be fulfilled, which he said, signifying by what death he was being about to be dying, to be killed, to be being killed, to be dying. Right. Esel tenun esto praetorion palin hopelatos kai eponesen don Jesús kai epenautoi. Therefore, he went into the praetorion again, that is Pilate, Pilate. He went in and he called Yeshua, and he said to him, Sue ho basileos ton Iudaion. Sorry, he went out. Sorry, he went in. Sorry, he went in. I got confused. Therefore, he went into the praetorian again. That is, Pilate went and he called Yeshua, and he said to him, Thou art thou the king of the Yehudim, the Jews? Apekrita Jesus, apeautu sul tuto leges, alloisoi, e pon periemu. Yeshua answered, from thyself, thou art saying this? Or others said this to you concerning me? Hmm. He's seeing if he believes. Apekrita hopelatos, merti ego iudaiosemi. To ethnos to son kai hoiarchiares paredo kanse emoi, ti epoiesas. Pelat answered, Not am I a Yehudi. I am not a Yehudi. Your nation and the high priests betrayed thee or handed you over to me, handed thee over to me. What hast thou effectuated? What did thou do? What didst thou do? Apekrita Jesús, her basilea, her emme ukestinek tu kosmu tu. Yeshua answered, My kingdom is not of this world. Eak tu kosmu tu earn her basilea, her emme. If my kingdom if my kingdom were of this world, hoi hyperetai an hoiemoi ergonizonto. My servants would be fighting, would be struggling. Hiname paradoto tois iudaios, that I be not delivered to the Yehudim. Nunde, her basilea, her emme, ukestinen deuten. But now, my kingdom is not of this world. I think it should be understood. He means that it is evident that my kingdom is not, it is now evident that my kingdom is not of this world, because my, my, uh, my servants do not fight for me. In fact, he told them not to, yeah? Put your sword back in your sheath, he said. E penun autoi hopelatos, ukun basileus, su. Therefore, the Pilatos, the pilot, said to him, Therefore, art thou not the king? Art thou not a king? Therefore, art thou not a king, or art thou a king? Therefore, art thou not a king? Okay. Apekrita hoyeshus. Suleges. I'm going to have to check the text there because it looks a bit ukun. Not therefore. Yeah, not therefore. It doesn't look like it's been translated properly. So this is a verse in which I can improve the translation, so I've made a note to myself. Apekrita ho Yeshus. Yeshua answered, Suleges, thou art saying, Hoti basileu semi, that I am a king. Ego estuto, que genemai, kai estuto elelytsa eston kosmon. Hina martyreso töi alöteai. Pas ho on ektös alötea sakuemoi. Tös ponös. Okay. Some derivatives are there. Right. Okay. Yeshua answered, Thou art saying that I am a king. Into this I was born, I became, and into this I came into the world, so that I might testify to the truth. Everyone being of the truth is hearing My voice. Lege autoi ho Pilatos. Pilat is saying to him, Diestin alertea. What is truth? Guy, this is an interesting thing, isn't it? Yeah? When people are not hearing God's word and accepting it, they get this funny idea that maybe there isn't a truth. Maybe everything is equally true or the truth cannot be known. God has revealed his truth. Don't blind yourself. Most of you would still be aware when you are telling a lie. When you know that something's not true and you say it anyway, you know that you're lying. Say sorry to God. Be honest with that which you know to be true before God blinds you and you don't know if there is a truth. This is a nonsense. How can you not know if there's a truth or if the truth can be known? When you see that something's true and you report the absolute opposite, you know that there is a truth that you are avoiding. Don't lie, but be truthful with the truth that you might be given more truth. Be honest. Seek the truth. There is hope. God may reveal more of his truth to you if you're doing faithfully with what he has revealed to you. Notice that which is before your eyes and see it, and that which is hidden from your eyes shall be revealed to you. If you're walking in faith, if you're walking faithfully, responding well, especially to God's truth. Pilate says to him, What is truth? Kai tuto epon palin exelten prostus Jehudaios. Daius. Kai Jehudaius. Kai lege autois ego udemian heurisko. And autoi aitian. Well, there's at least something true he said. I'll translate in just a moment. He was honest when he said, because it says, and this having said, again he went out to the Yehudim, and he is saying to them, I don't find nothing, I don't find anything in this, no crime, no crime, no cause for prosecution. I don't find any cause. I'm not finding any cause, he says. So he has been truthful there. The guy was without sin. Yeshua, the Lord, was without sin. Estin de synertia humin. But ye, there is accustomed to you, henna apoluso humin entoi pascha, that one person I should release to you in the Passover, the Pascha, the Pesach. Bulleste un apoluso humin ton basilea ton iudaion. Iudaion. Art ye willing, therefore, that I loose to you the king of the Yehudim? He's trying to find a way that he doesn't have to deal with this Yeshua, because he can't find any sin in him, so he doesn't want to be involved in prosecuting him. Ekraugasanun, palin legontes. Therefore they cry out again, saying, Me tuto, not this one, Allaton Barabban, but Barabbas. Önde ho Barabbas leistes. Now this Barabbas, the Barabbas was a thief, a robber, a plunderer. And here endeth John chapter 18, read in Greek and translated for you. Thank you for listening. Yahweh bless you as you take heed to what Yeshua has revealed, to what Yahweh has revealed about his son Yeshua. Be seeking the truth. There is truth. Don't be denying. Be truthful with the truth that you may have more truth.